Go.
Right, this is my final project pitch on the shoe. So this is what to expect from the pitch: the concept, the use of primary and secondary research, the use of equipment, and finally the use of locations. So presenting concept. So the three ideas I had was about how these pairs of, well, my original thought was how these shoes were possessed by a human soul, and basically the shoe is like really creepy and makes creepy sounds, and a character walks up to these pair of shoes and they were confused and not very good. So it was how the characters in the nightmare that actually came true, but the surroundings were off. So the pair of shoes were possessed by human soul, who could, but there'd be a character originally wearing the shoes. He was also possessed, but then that character wakes up, and they threw the shoes away, which then leads the character to walk up to the shoes, and that's where it ends off. Where it starts off there. But I realised that the character would probably be wearing shoes, so instead I could think of something else to use that could be possessed, like a hand or any other objects. So how does ideas fit in the concept? So the same idea as Rafi when he researched into Evil Dead, but I researched into Evil Dead 2 about how there's this hand that's possessed by being affected, but rather, instead of copying from that idea of how it's been affected, there'll be a soul of a human that's like really corrupted, that will be inside of the shoe or the object that I'll decide. And without blood, even though this is the film that I'm creating, but I want to become family friendly and also a bit of a comedy, so it's not overly dramatic, and not too disturbing. And then leaning back to Evil Dead 2, we can see how, in contrast, this is interesting to show people. However, this is not the only film that actually has possessed objects. Another example that I researched was about Chucky, because that's also, Chucky is a possessed doll is like really evil, and combined the two, that's what made me led up to create the concept of an object being evil and also control us. And then now we'll talk about the use of primary and secondary research. So I had a bit of help from this about how I can also adapt my ideas further by creating some brainstorming ideas about how I can't speak today. I talk about how the ideas on possessed objects, about thoughts of mystery, anything can be possessed, such as body parts, such as hands, and even the mind. And it can move on its own without anyone realising, or perhaps the idea of how ghosts can also control it as well. And then more ideas on the concept is about about the locations as well. How I want to fit the location, how it fits with the film, about how it's creepy, abandoned, to make the scenery more spooky. And then also we talked about the characters, about obviously there's the main character who's walking up to the shoe, and the original characters has the object with them, but then and then this is a continuation on the research about Evil Dead 2. And it talks about the plot about how Ash is forced to Sophia's bit in the right hand, which had become possessed. And this is basically the overall idea and inspiration for my film. Even though they won't be biting, they will be I'm going to create it in a way that the show doesn't show that the object is possessed in the first place. And then obviously now we'll talk about the equipment. that I'll be using in the film. So obviously the main is the DSLR camera, which would be probably the most important thing in the film. But I decided to use more than one camera for multi-camera, which I thought which was very interesting to involve. And I didn't put this on it, but in terms of lenses, I like to use stuff like wide angle lens, the fisheye lens, which I like doing, and obviously the tripod as well, which will be in which I have one camera for the tripod on the tripod and another camera of someone holding the camera, and as I move, as the camera moving, it follows them. And also there's another thing about the green screen suit. That's what they're going to create the illusion of the shoes walking, because there is another way of creating the feeling that the shoes are moving, which is a fishing hook. Is it a fishing wire hook? But instead, I decided to use a green screen suit because then it'll be more realistic instead of doing stop motion. And obviously the zoom recorder is that's for the end during the editing, because I decided to add a bit of Foley into the film to make it more, the surrounding more natural and make it sound like the viewer is actually there. Make it more, because instead of using the camera quality of the mic, I realised that using the zoom recorder would be more beneficial for creating those sounds. And then obviously to think about the risk assessment, which is most importantly to fill out, about talk about all the possible risks that might occur on scene, which I will fill out to give an idea of what to use, and then talk about the use of locations. While, as I said earlier, I want to fit the location to fit well with the concept that I had in mind. And my first original thought was using a place called Castlefields in Carl, but I soon realised that if I was to use a green screen suit, I would have to create different shots to layer the shot above, but that would be possible because of the leaves and the grass, because that would also be green, and that's something else to think about at the time, which is why I need to think of a different place which is more, that doesn't have any green in it. And obviously talk about the risk assessment, but now we'll talk about the location recce, about all the possible problems that might happen. Thanks. Any questions?
Alright, questions for Kieran?
Oh yeah, are you going to use the Foley sound?
Yeah, Foley. Use the zoom recorder to create sounds, obviously footsteps with the sound with the Foley stuff we've got, such as the walking, the twigs being broken, the leaves. Yes, Nathan?
I know this, but it's the full plot, so there's the shoes that become possessed.
Yes, and there's going to be other objects, but basically the shoe that's possessed is capable of making surrounding objects also possessed, which makes it more creepy, more scary.
So what happens to the main character?
Eventually all the possessed items will start chasing the character, trying to make him possessed, but actually it was all a nightmare, but it wasn't actually a nightmare, but and actually came true, and then he starts running for his life for the rest of his living.
But at the start, did you say, I might have misheard it, but did you say something that the main character found the shoes and started walking up to them to see what they were?
Yeah, pretty much. Because so then obviously there's the character originally wearing the shoes. He threw the possessed shoes to get away from possessed, and the main character walks up to the shoes, and find where the shouting it's coming from, walks up to his shoes, and he looks curious, and then that's when the creepy things from the shoes occur.
Right.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so the film starts, the shoes are possessed, and then what? They like into the shoes. What happens with the hand in Evil Dead?
It the hand moves
Okay.
on itself,
And it's just a hand, is it?
well,
Or is
it's
it
actually
connected to a person?
well, it's actually more than one possessed item in Evil Dead. No, is it Evil Dead? Yeah, Evil Dead. So the entire house is possessed, and the most important, the most dangerous thing was the hand, because the hand was trying to kill the character.
Right, and does it kill the character?
No, he managed to stop the hand
How did you do that?
by, well, first the hand was attached to his actual body, so
Yeah.
had to cut the hand off,
Okay.
and then, because the hand was trying to kill the character, and so he had to attach a chainsaw to his hand instead. Pretty gruesome, I know.
Yeah, but that's the point of the film,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and
That's what makes it the film.
And he got a knife and then, killed the pound with the knife.
Alright, so there's a certain amount of ludicrous to that,
Yeah.
but also like terrifying. So how do you use that research? What can happen with the shoe? At the moment we've just got like a shoe on its own chasing a person.
The shoe could,
How do we get that Evil Dead moment?
I haven't thought about that yet.
If in Evil Dead he has to chop his hand off, what does he have to do in your film to get rid of the shoes?
Cut it, with a knife, or use fire. Joking. But
What does he use in Evil Dead?
A knife.
You just told me.
Oh,
So he uses a chainsaw.
chainsaw, yeah.
Yeah, why does he use a chainsaw in Evil Dead?
To protect himself.
Absolutely, but what for the audience? Why is it a chainsaw?
Because it's more deadly and
Yeah, it's
more
more
powerful.
noisy and powerful. Yeah, right, exactly. So that is what's making the sick. That's what's making the horror. That is what's making all the blood fly. That is what's making.
Yeah.
All right. At the moment, if you've got two shoes just chasing someone, you don't have a gruesome movie.
No.
You don't have a scary movie particularly. It's just a bit of an old silly movie. So that is what you need to bridge the gap, Kieran.
Yeah.
And also to a certain extent you, Rafi.
Right.
Like, what is making our audience feel horrified?
Get frightened, scared, or terrified.
I'm asking you what in your film is making them. I'm not saying just repeat words after I say them. Rafi.
Sorry.
I'm saying what is making your film. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got your audience needs to feel revolt. So
Yeah.
what you need to do is go away. Like, what makes us watch horror? How are you capturing that feeling?
Yeah.
All right, and that's what you need to add to your films. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the moment, if you just have shoes chasing someone, it might just look a bit like the Addams Family.
Oh my God.
All right, because you're making the Addams Family as well.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone. Well done. You did it. I'll give you some feedback and you get downstairs. Thank you all.
Oh, now I'm gonna make my own story. I wrote the story. Made my story.
Yeah. Well.